Okay, I'm going to do a couple of these, and I'm going to wait and upload them probably next week. We're supposed to maybe go at the Holiday Inn to go swimming, and they've got Wi-Fi, so I figure I can upload, swim, come back and forth. Anyway, this video, this one I'm doing right now, it's going to be about a letter I wrote to Governor Fallin back in February. I had heard about articles about her State of the State address, about things she wanted to do for mental illness. There were also several articles out there about Terry White and the Department of Mental Health and how she was getting in trouble for there not being any open bed space for people at the Oklahoma Forensic Center for competency and in GRI. And so I wrote a letter to Governor Fallin. I sent it to her, never really got a response, because who would respond to a crazy person at OFC, I guess. I was going to go back and write a letter to Terry White and include this letter, but things moved a lot faster than I thought they would, and so here I am, and never really got that plan going. But I do have the letter, and I do want to read this, and I do want it to get back to Terry White, to Governor Mary Fallin, and I do have ideas. Having been through this, you couldn't not get ideas. Having experienced the program, the pitfalls, the things that can come of it, I think I have a lot of insight that could be very useful and invaluable in this project. I believe that the system needs to change. I agree. But don't change the law to punish somebody who has an illness. Don't. There are other ways to change things, to fix things. Mental illness in the state of Oklahoma, just going through OFC, seeing the things at this boarding home, having seen things at the day treatment center in Veneta, it's hard to not see where the problems are. It is hard to just sit there and take it. And so since I'm out and I have more power, I have more available resources, I'm not going to take it. I'm going to stand up for everybody who can't stand up. I'm going to stand up for me and for so many others out there, because one of the things about mental illness, you don't want to tell anybody, you don't want to seek the help, because look at where you end up. I wouldn't put a dog in some of the situations they put people in. And in fact, you know what? We do treat our animals better than we treat mental health patients. I'm serious. I heard about somebody at the Totepoke today. Her grandmother had adopted a poodle from the Humane Society in Podo. Well, they took it away because she hadn't provided a correct veterinarian. They didn't believe that the veterinarian would provide appropriate care for a poodle. A poodle. Not a human being, a poodle. So they took custody of the poodle back. There's no medical care. There is absolutely no proper medical care. There is no continuity of care at Oklahoma Forensic Center. There's no continuity of care for several mental health patients in the state. So a lot of people sit there and go, well, I don't want to tell them I'm having problems, because what help am I going to get? I'm going to end up in a worse situation than I'm in now. So that's one of the reasons people with mental health do go off and do what they do. They go off, they don't take their medications, because you're labeled, you're stigmatized, you're put into a system that is so broken that there's no fixing it. You're going to have to do away with the system and build it back up. But I do have a few ideas. And this was written in February of this year. And I would really like a response, Governor Fallin. I know you're busy with a bunch of other stuff, but I do think that with the mental health state that the state is in, with everything that's been going on, with Alicia Chambers, with Christian Costello, that story should have hit you more than any other. That story needs to be looked at. Christian Costello had a severe mental illness. You need to be listening to his mother. This is a woman that wants to support him and help him and other mental health patients and families. I believe she would have been a great replacement for her husband, and I do believe that you should allow her to advocate for the Department of Mental Health, if anything else. This is a woman that really deserves our respect and attention because she has some good ideas. She's lost her husband. Her son, because of a mental illness, is the one who took his life. This is a woman that has been through hell. She wants to help her son. She's not ostracizing him. She's not wanting to crucify him. She understands what happened. She's not angry at him. She knows it wasn't him. That is the point of the NGRI case. It's not this person. It is an illness or a medication or an illegal drug. It is not that person. Once that person is stable and understands this is something they have got to maintain for the rest of their life. Once they are there through treatment and medication, they are a wonderful human being. And I do not believe anybody should discount that or negate that in any way. This is a person. This is a human being. Yes, something horrible happened. I know that. I understand that. But what everybody out there needs to understand themselves, that person wasn't in control. They deserve our help. They deserve our prayers. They deserve our support, not condemnation. So right now, Governor Fallin, I'm reading the letter. Terry White, this is also to you. I challenge you to please fix the system and to help people with mental illness. Do not punish them. So here's the letter. Madam Governor, hi, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Rebecca Koehler, and I would like to bring to your attention to an extreme minority population in this state. This population is constantly overlooked, neglected, and needs your help. The population I am referring to is the NGRI population, not guilty by reason of insanity. We constitute less than 1% of all verdicts and plea agreements in the legal system here in the state of Oklahoma. Each one of our cases is unique as the individuals that are currently serving time at Oklahoma Forensic Center in Veneta. I say serving time because that is exactly what it is. We are incarcerated for crimes that we had no control over. It has been determined by a court of law that at the time of our crimes, for some reason, we were not in control of our actions. For the majority of us, this is due to a severe mental illness, or for others, drugs, alcohol, and in my case, prescription medications were at the core of our index offenses. The courts in the state of Oklahoma have legally determined us not guilty. This being the verdict, we should all be acquitted of all charges and only hospitalized to receive treatment for the mental illnesses that led to these crimes, until which time we are no longer a danger to ourselves or the community. When we are no longer a threat to ourselves or the public, we are to be released into the community and monitored through outpatient care in the mental health community. These parameters are outlined in the Title 22, Chapter 1161 in Oklahoma Criminal Law Statutes and Rules. This is not the case in the majority of the clients at OFC. This statute is constantly stretched and twisted by judges and district attorneys, even though doctors testify to the fact that some of us are mentally sound and competent and no danger to ourselves or the community. Yes, I will agree, some of the crimes committed are heinous, but what everyone must understand is that those crimes were not committed by us in our current state, but by a person who was either not medicated or was on a medication, drug, or other intoxicating agent that led to an altered state of mind. We go through more steps than those who are convicted of their crimes to attain release. We have no definite out date and no way to work towards an early release for completing programs or on the merits of good behavior. There are also no programs available to us as an education, job training, or any other kind of positive help for when we are released. There are a small minority of the NGRI population that would be wonderful contributing members of society if they were released today. Our releases would provide our society with good tax-paying citizens, as well as save the state the monthly amount of money spent on our care and housing, and open up spots for those who really need the help, those stuck in county jails because there is no room within our small NGRI population. Those of us in a minority of these NGRI cases are first-time offenders. Yes, our crimes are considered violent, but I will repeat again, we have been determined to not have been in control of our actions at the time the crimes were committed. Could you please then tell me why we are still considered violent offenders? I have read in the newspaper that in your State of the State address you suggested a court for mental health to give those with mental health issues who are first-time offenders of non-violent offenses a chance. I implore you to include those with even violent offenses who have been determined to be NGRI and are first-time offenders. I believe that one statewide court for mental health is needed, especially including the NGRI population, court committals, and criminal cases that are in need of competency evaluations. Having one court with a judge who would need to have a background in mental health cases and understand the workings of mental health would be beneficial to those with cases like ours. It would also be beneficial for us to only be appointed a court-appointed attorney with the indigent defense system who has a background in mental health as well. Educating the district attorney's offices throughout the state about mental health should also be implemented. Allowing various district attorney's offices and judges to override state law in our cases completely defeats the purpose of the parameters set forth in the state statutes and nullifies the decisions of a board specifically created to provide positive steps for our release. I am talking about the Forensic Review Board that meets every 3 months. Only a specific number of cases are dealt with in each 3-month period. We are usually forced to wait an entire year before we can make progress on this step or that. I believe that all cases should be reviewed for the possibility of release every 3 months if that patient has excelled and has only had minor infractions, if any. Those proving to be nonviolent during their incarceration should be allowed the opportunity to prove themselves within society and guided into a position where they can attain success in life. Families of the NGRI population should be allowed to care for and help those of us who are and have been ready for release. There need to be more instances of release to families. I believe that these suggestions would greatly aid the mental health system, reduce the strain on the state's budget, and provide much needed relief for those of us who need it. I would greatly appreciate the opportunity to speak with you in person about my case and the issues surrounding the NGRI program. I believe that my position of having been an NGRI for the past 3 years gives me a unique perspective into the pitfalls and positives of this program and allows me to give feedback that can help to improve my life and the lives of others who are also in my position. I would love the chance to advocate for those caught in this system now and in the future, even when I am finally released. I have met some wonderful people who are labeled NGRI, insane, violent, dangerous, among other things. Those labels are honestly misplaced with many who reside at the Oklahoma Forensic Center, and I believe that you, Your Honor, should meet some of us and see for yourself. Never in my life before all of this had I ever imagined becoming friends with people with charges such as the ones that my current friends bear. This experience has opened my eyes and shown me that no story should be taken at face value, especially when mental health is involved, and that victims in crimes are not only those whom the crimes are committed against, but sometimes the perpetrator of the crime is a victim himself due to circumstances that he cannot control. My experience has made me a wiser and stronger person. I believe that I could be of assistance in implementing a wiser and stronger mental health system as well. Please take what I have said into consideration and be open to making a positive change in the system that we are all trying so hard to make it through. I ask this not only for myself, but for others who are in this program and deserve a second chance. A chance to show that we are not dangerous and that your faith and trust can be placed in us. We are human. We have mental issues. We have changed with medication and therapy. Please allow us to prove this. Thank you. Now, I heard Governor Fallin, which we don't really get news here. I kind of get it off the internet on the phone. All I've got is a smartphone to work with. But she'd made 10% government-wide cuts, Department of Mental Health, everything. Okay, you want to save some money, Madam Governor. $300 a day. $300 a day to house an NGRI patient for treatment, care, whatever. That's $9,000 a month, $108,000 a year per patient. There is at least about $1.5 million worth of patients you could release to a facility like this, to a boarding home, where they would constantly monitor these people. They would be under supervision. They would have their medications given to them. They would have to be compliant with their medications and their treatment, or they'd go back. How is that not a logical decision, Ms. White, Madam Governor? How is it not a logical decision to release those of us who can do it here? If a patient has proven over the years that they're there at OFC that they're nonviolent, they're not going to get into any fights, that they're going to take their medication, if they could prove that they have learned that medication or treatment is necessary for their illness to be kept under control, let them go to a boarding home. Don't want to release them to their families? Fine, I understand that. But a boarding home, there needs to be more of them in the state. They need to be regulated better. They need to have better treatment in these boarding homes. But if we could get this under control, if we could set certain parameters that needed to be met, you could house an NGRI patient or inmate at 10% of the cost of what you're paying right now. $915. And that comes out of Social Security, not the state's budget. $915. You would save $9,000 a month. $9,000 a month per patient. That's $108,000 a month if you release 10 of them, or 12 of them. 12, yeah. Sorry. I'm asking you to look at this. I'm asking you to understand. I'm asking you to please help. It would help the state's budget. It would help us. Thank you.